Hi, how lovely to see you here today. We are going to build a New Year's house. So this is going to be a house where you could celebrate an awesome New Year's Eve. And it's a relatively big house and it has a lot of porches so you can go outside and watch the fireworks and so on. I'm a bit ambiguous about fireworks because they do scare a lot of animals, and that's not a good thing. And they also leave a lot of littering around, so that's not a good thing either because we need to save the planet, and also it's something that the poor animals could eat, and that's not good for them either. So even though it's very nice to look at, well, yeah, I'm not really into it. But if you are into it, this little place or this kind of large place has some good spots to go outside and watch it. So it's a 2-story house, and the bottom of the house will be the main living area, but we are going to do this in parts. So today we are going to be building the exterior, and tomorrow you'll get to see the downstairs, and the day after tomorrow, the day before New Year's Eve, you'll get to see the last part, which is the upstairs. And so this is where we are going to be building one of the porches, and the big one in the front. So you could stay up here and watch how everyone else is having a celebration for New Year's Eve and toast to the new year and so on. Or you could stay downstairs where we are going to make a little patio where you get into the house. And we are also going to make a large portion of the house where you can watch it from these really big windows. But right now we are putting in some stairs to help you get downstairs, and there's going to be one stair on each side of the house, so you can come up from both sides of the house. And there's going to be an entryway upstairs as well. We're going to have some big sliding doors, and that could lead you in upstairs if you want to use that way in. And I went for a little bit of a more modern fence up here because I thought that this house is probably relatively new, and they both wanted to make it fit in with the environment, but they also wanted some modern aesthetics. So they went for a mix of both, I think. And well, you will be the judge if I made it or not. And so this is the part in the back where we are going to put those large windows, as I talked about. So you could stay inside and watch all of the land behind the house, really, and maybe you could see some wild animals running around and so on. So it's a nice spot to be in. And there's also this little patio in the back where we are going to make a kind of entertainment area where you can sit and chat, and you could grill and have a good time. And now we're back in the front, just putting in some pillars, and I realized that it doesn't add up evenly. So there's a little smaller gap on the right side with the left 2 pillars, but that's just have to work like that. There's nothing I can do about it, because I thought if I didn't put a pillar in there between, it was going to be too big of a gap, and well, this was the best thing I could come up with, so that's how it is. And the roof isn't very complicated in this house. It came along quite easily because, well, it's not that well, there aren't many strange places in the house, or many strange bump outs and things, so that made it quite easy to roof it, which is good because sometimes you can struggle a lot with the roof. But yeah, this is the whole roof. I wanted something kind of simple. I didn't want any extra bumps out on the top or so on, because it's already a 2-story house, so it didn't have to go any higher than that. And now we are going to start to add some windows to the house, and I knew I wanted to use this from Growing Together. I think it's a window that is quite hard to use actually, so you can see me trying to fit it in with the roofline a bit better. Actually, you would probably want it to go like all the way up to the roofline and where it cuts off, but that's not how this window works. So yeah, this was the best thing I could figure out with the windows. I would have liked to put some extra little windows on the side as well to cover up the whole triangle, but we don't have any small little triangle windows that you could fit in there to make it work. So, well, we didn't, or I didn't. So this is how it came out, because I wanted to have a lot of lights coming in upstairs, because in the middle of the upstairs is where you're going to come up from the from the below, or the floor downstairs. You are coming up from downstairs in the middle of the house, and that is going to be also an entertainment area. I'm not going to tell you too much about it. You'll have to watch the third of these videos. It's going to be a 3-parter. To see what the upstairs looks like. But I wanted a lot of lights to come in there to make it open and airy and so on. So that's why I wanted these big windows upstairs, so you could get that feeling of like a large area. And then I decided to use the same windows all over the place, even on the garage, to make it a bit more cohesive, which meant that I also had to figure out how to use these windows in the bathrooms. But yeah, it works. It's not my favorite. I think from the outside it looks so good with all these windows, and that they are in the same size and shape. But in real life, I don't think it's very realistic to have these sort of big windows in a bathroom. I think it kind of makes it look a bit awkward. You wouldn't want to go to the toilet with those big windows, especially not if it's on the ground floor. Might have a peeping Tom coming up to look at you, and that's not very nice. But yeah, it's just the way it is right now, so we're going to have to make do with it, and I will cover them up from the inside a bit so that you are not seeing as much of the toilet from the outside. Yeah, so as you can see, there are quite a lot of windows in this house. As I think there often are in newer builds, they usually go for a lot of windows to make the natural light shine in more often, or at least that's my experience with houses where I live, and I'm from Sweden, so And this is, well, the most common thing to do in Sweden is when you build new houses to use large windows and so on. And the side part I wanted to make something a little bit different with, so that you could have this kind of stone instead of just the wood slabs all over the other sidings of the house. So to make it a little bit more interesting, I chose to use stone, and I don't think it's because they built that side of the house at a different point later on in time. It's just because they wanted some sort of difference and some sort of point that wasn't exactly the same and made the house look a little bit more interesting. So that's why I think they chose to have that part in stone. And this is me trying to figure out a nice layout of this little front area and figure out where to have stone and where to have walkways and so on, because I know I wanted to put a pond in front of this house as part of their garden, so that's why I had the house quite far back in this land. So I made a little pond in front of it, and I know I wanted to have like a walkway around it. So that is what I'm up to next. And I cut some part of this out because there was a lot of fiddling with it and decisions made by me on how to lay out this little path. And so now I wanted some kind of difference where the porch in front of the house ended, and I wanted some stones like gravel to have in front of that part to make a difference on where the path is and where you should walk and where you shouldn't walk, is what I'm trying to say. So then I tried to make this little path, as you can see here, and you can see me fiddling a bit with it then. And then I lay out some kind of a stone way to guide me on how to do it. And then I realized, well, maybe we should have this whole path down leading to the garage in the same kind of stone, and then have a little walkway up to the house from there as well. And this is where I mark out where the path should go, and ta-da, the path is done, and we're just filling out the edges to make it a bit more exact. Yeah, so this is the little path around, and we are going to line up this whole place with some stones, which you will see me do next. So this is where I put in the soil to decide where to have my flowers and my plants and so on. So as you can see, I'm going to have some plants growing on one side of the pond, and then we're going to the back of the house, and I am filling in also with just soil where to put my little plants. And we're going to have one in the back as well, because I wanted a kind of natural garden. I didn't want these harsh endings, so I tried to make endings of the lot with the plants and so on instead, and not with the fence that make it look this harsh. So this is where I start putting in the stones, and soon you will see, ta-da, the stones are finished right now, and we have stones all around the places where I plan to plant stuff. So that is what we are getting into next, filling up these little planters, and also putting in a hedge around the part where you, well, the drive-in, right? So I'm marking up with some soil here where I should put the hedge, and I will also put a hedge on the other side, and it later on even becomes a double hedge because I wanted to fill in that whole spot between the driveway and the little way, well, the little walkway in front of the pond as well. So we are going to line that up with a hedge as well. And as you can see right now, there's only one row of the hedge on this side, but we will come back to that and fill it in with another row as well. And I wanted it to look kind of manicured, like they had put some effort in their garden, or maybe they even have a gardener who comes and looks after all their plants and so on. So and that's what you are going to see me do soon. First we're going to make a little path from the garage to the back of the house, because I wanted it to be a way to get in from the back of the house to directly to the garage, because in the garage we are going to be putting in a little laundry area, which meant that you would probably want to be, well, you want to have an easy way to get there, so when you carry all your laundry and so on. So that's why I wanted this little gravel path to lead up from the back of the house. You could carry your laundry from the house to the garage and have a little laundry day time. So I mark it up quite well actually. It looks like a lot of soil and so on around it, because this house is built in Henford and Bagley, which means it's a kind of British area, which probably means it rains quite a lot in this area. So where there's gravel, there will probably be soil around it. So yeah. Now we're heading into our little planters, but first we're going to make a little a little walkway from this side of the house going back, and I used these new, well, they're under the rugs, but they are look like a stone path you can match together to make a little path going back. So that's what I did, and I also filled in the little path so that it looked used and not just something that was newly laid down, because they do walk on this path. It's not just for looks. Well, now we are on to the planters, and you are going to see me do this one, and I just fill them in with lots of different greeneries and also some white and mostly white flowers, but I also bring in some flowers with a very, very light pink touch. So that's what we're going to fill up these planters with, and you will get to see me do this whole one, as I said, and the other ones I will just show you when they're done. But I mostly use the same plants. There are some differences in what I use. Like I don't use these big tall trees in every one, but I try to make some kind of height differences to make it look a little bit more alive. So that is what we're doing. And ta-da, next one finished. And here I had to move the tree again so I could see. So yeah, just going around filling in all of these, as you can see. And we now have this little part left, and also the part in front of the pond. And then we should be finished with the planters, and And then we are going to put some trees on the side because I didn't want anything big. I just wanted the right part of this garden to be a little bit more, well, a bit more natural. So there is only going to be some trees over on this side, and then I'm going to put a hedge all around the pond area as well. And that's how we are doing their little garden. So there are some very manicured parts and some parts being left like they were, like the natural way, with just some trees and so on. And I quite like this little place with the pond and so on. I think it came out very nice. I could see myself live in a little place like this with a little pond in front of the house. It would be nice to have a look at in the morning, maybe take your coffee outside and watch the wildlife in the pond. So we're going to put some animals and so in the pond, some fishes and some ducks and so on, and even some fireflies. So when you're in live mode at the evening, it will look really pretty over the pond. So yeah, now we're going to put in some lights all over because I wanted this place to be well lit up, because I wanted them to be able to be outside no matter time of day or time of year. So I wanted it to be nice and bright so you could see what you were doing. Just take your blanket and put it around you and bring a nice cup of hot cocoa or tea and sit outside in the cold winter for a little moment at least. And in the summer, this is a perfect garden to just hang out in. And as you will see, there is going to be some kids activities as well. I'm going to put in some swings and also a monkey bar. So it's a family house. They probably need something to do in their backyard because this place is, well, it's a fair bit out on the countryside, so there might not be as many things around like playgrounds you could just walk to as a kid. I don't think there's a walking distance to the nearest playground. So the family put in some swings and a monkey bar so that the kids could play in the backyard instead. And now we are putting in some outdoor furnish. So as you could see, the chairs, I don't know if you could see it because I couldn't see it, but I put these black chairs on the left side, one story up, and I realized at first when this chair made me have some trouble, and now I see, where's my chairs? Did I put them somewhere else? And I'm like, what happened? And then I realized, well, they're up on the 3rd floor. That's not where they're supposed to be. So let's move them down again. And also let's give them a little table so that they could put their hot cocoa on the table when they sit there and watch the view or try to see what the neighbors are doing if they are out in their yard or something. And just filling in with some flowers and so on the tables, and some quite large planted flowers that will go around the house, both upstairs and downstairs, and even in the back I'll put these to make it look a bit more cohesive. And I think they look nice. I like this potted plants. So yeah, they go all around, and in the back we are going to give them a little grill so that they could grill. They could maybe have a little cheeky New Year's grill if the weather allows it. I'm kind of thinking that because right now here we just have, we'll have like 10 degrees, so it's hot for the season. So we were actually talking about making a little cheeky grill for the New Year celebrations. And I haven't fully quite made up my mind about it, but we were talking about it, so maybe. What are your favorite dishes for the New Year's Eve? How do you celebrate New Year's Eve? If you have some really nice recipes, please let me know in the comments below. I need some inspirations on what to cook for these special occasions, because Christmas is it's the same thing. It's the ham and it's the sausages and the meatballs and so on. And now I'm getting quite fed up with the meatballs and the sausages and so on. So now I want something else, something really good and nice. Yeah, and as you could see, the house is starting to come along. I put in the swings and the monkey bars, as I talked about before, in the back. And now we are just gonna finish up with the pond, because as I said, I wanted it to be alive, so I wanted there to be some animals in there, and also a little bit of, well, flowers and so on. So that's what we're doing. And there are some, oh, I forgot the name of it in English now. In Swedish they're called näckrosor. So that's, I put in some white, is it called lilies? Water lilies? Is that it? I think so, maybe. Yeah, and here are the ducks and the fireflies, and also some fishes. I didn't put up a fishing sign because I didn't see the family go fishing in their own pond. But there are fishes in there. If you want to, you could put up a fishing sign and go fishing in your own pond, and maybe cook your own fish for dinner night. That could be lovely. That could be something. And then I realized I hadn't put up a chimney, and I knew I wanted to have a fireplace in the house, so I knew that a chimney would have to be there, and some fake cars, because we don't have real cars. And well, now we are finishing up the last part, putting in the bins and the mailbox, and then we are finished, and you will see a little video of the whole thing at the end, how it came along. And thank you so much for being a part of this video. I love when you come to visit me and join me and hang out with me. It's so lovely, and I hope you have a really good rest of the day. And I hope to see you tomorrow again in part number 2, where we decorate the downstairs. So yeah, until next time.